Today on Mid-Missouri Art News, art professors of Lincoln University, they sat as a panel with discussion today on the challenges of teaching art online. Stay with us. Welcome once again to JCTV Mid-Missouri Art News, supported by many art enthusiasts coming to you from the capital city of Jefferson City, Missouri. I'm your host, Rick J. Please join me in welcoming the art professors of Lincoln University, located in the great city, as stated before, Jefferson City, Missouri. That's David Nyaberi and Essex Garner.
Thank you, Rick, for inviting us.
Thank you, Rick, for having us here today.
Excellent. It's good to have you both back here at the round table. Well, the professors, as stated before, have come together as a panel today to discuss the new challenges of instructing art online that has been brought about recently. So I'll turn it over now to Professor David Nyaberi to start the discussion. David?
Yes, thank you, Rick, for having us here today. And as we are discussing this topic today of the challenges of teaching art online, I want to start by saying that this is one of the big challenges we faced during this year that we never ever thought about. And for the courses where we have the students having to do their works hands-on, it's been a challenge to have them in a remote location and trying to give instruction for them to do. So the challenges associated with those are, first, the students may not have the technology to help them do the work. And then the other thing is, even if they had the technology, they may not have the time discipline to sit down to work on what they're supposed to be doing. And number three, because of their location, sometimes it's very difficult to schedule an agreed upon time because, for example, if a student is in Indiana, they're on Eastern time, another student in California, Pacific time, it's very difficult to have all the students at the same time. So it's been a challenge, even trying to use Zoom to have all those students, getting them to come, at the same time and get online and give that instructions. That's one. The other one is got to do with the nature of art itself. In fact, it's a 3D medium, and I'll let Essex talk about it.
Well, when you're talking about the applied arts, it's something has to be created from instructor to student. It's not something that can be done it shouldn't be done 100% digitally. Because in the classroom, if you're teaching painting, I have to be able to see the brush strokes. Whether it's impasto, the drying time. Some paints operate differently under certain light effects. Teaching a student to stretch their own canvas, to size canvas, that means to gesso it, how long it takes when it's ready to prepare from a two-dimensional image or a model in front of you and articulate that to a two-dimensional illusion of form for a canvas. It's a lot easier to do that when the student is right there in front of you.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
That which I just explained is a little bit more difficult when you're talking visually, because especially for rural communities, the signal needed for the broadband, for the data rate to be able to see the image is going to be degraded, unfortunately, as you get into rural areas. not just the time difference that played a lot in last semester. We found out the hard way. We had students logging on in California who couldn't understand, well, why? Oh, class was over by the time they logged on, 2-hour difference.
I see. All right.
So, and how do you get a ceramic wheel in a student's home? The hands-on necessity of center balance and gravity for the centrifugal force needed. And then where are you going to get a kiln that it could go up to 2,000 degrees? You're talking a Kelvin, whether it's bisque fire, 1600, or your what they call soaking. All that's done in a very expensive kiln versus maybe a raku fire. So, and then the digital side to it. I'm jumping disciplines here because I'll be teaching all these.
Yes.
The student has to have the vector software available to them if it's distanced or distance learning. Both of you are in Microsoft Front Page, which is a web writer,
Yes.
or Dreamweaver. Both of you have to have that software. You also have to have either Corel Draw or Adobe. Both of you have to have the software.
And these are provided
Yeah, in the
by
studio.
Lincoln University.
Yeah, and you're in studio. But when
In
you're
studio.
sitting
Yes,
in your
but
class at home,
Yeah,
not necessarily.
Yeah, when the student is at home, they may not have access to the facilities or even the software that we have here, because like in the lab where they do the web design and graphic design and all that software is there, but a student may not have that software on his or her computer at home. So even though they may have, you can type the assignment and email to them, they may not actually be able to do it because normally they come to the lab and do the work. So as he was saying also, some disciplines like ceramics, he just said it. First of all, it's unimaginable that a student would have a potter's wheel at home, you know.
Right,
because
or
some
a
of
kiln.
or a kiln. Because some of the students, when they come here, they take the course, some students are not majoring in that area, they take the course maybe one semester. So it's unthinkable to expect them to have that at home. So it's very difficult. So even if you tried to do other things, asking a student, for example, to go get clay and have it at home, I mean, it doesn't work out right. And then the other thing is when the students, when they are asked to do the work on their own time and without the supervision, you're not sure whether they're going to do it right.
Correct.
So like he was saying, when you have the students in front of you with the materials and the supplies, when you're giving them instructions, at that moment you can say, okay, you didn't get that right, let's do it this way. But if you're going to have them in a remote position or somewhere you're seeing them on a screen and trying to have all of them, you know, it's practically not possible.
Well, it sounds like a struggle, not only for the student especially. And I know it has to be for you professors of art to try to get this point across. I could see the struggle that's not only going on physically, but mentally. What a challenge you're facing.
Yes, and also the thing is to have the students, okay, so if you have a class of, let's say at the very minimum of 5 students, those are very few students, to have them online at the same time and have them the materials they need for the project you're doing and doing it, observing them online. As my colleague Essex said, when you don't have the student right in front of you and you can correct, you can, you know, guide what they're doing, it just becomes difficult. It's not like, for example, like art history that I teach, which, you know, writing essays.
Right.
They can, you know, they can do their research, write the essays, they can do the questions. But there's the other downside where Essex talked, I mean, we talked this some time back, where you cannot give a proctored test, for example. You see, so So if you have to give a test, it's got to be open book.
Sure.
So, and the other downside of that is sometimes you give them an assignment like in Art 100, you ask them to draw. We don't know whether they did the drawing or they ask someone else to draw because you're not, watching them.
Exactly.
So those are some of the challenges that we're facing.
And another thing, the avatar scenario. And what I mean by avatar, everyone digitally in social media or Zoom, what we've been using, you have an option of presenting an avatar.
Yes.
If you present an avatar as just your name, if we're in lecture mode, I'm okay with that. But if we're in studio mode, I need to see you.
Yes.
I can't, your avatar is not going to cut it. Not everyone lives like Rick or David. Professors have to be aware. Sometimes you just see the screen. You see the ceiling of where the student is.
Ah, exactly.
And after the third or fourth session, some people do not want to show you how they're living.
Oh, that's
in the
true.
background.
That's another fact.
So you have to be aware of that avatar,
Yes.
or that's like a false front.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I got to go around that false front when we're in figure painting,
Right.
figure drawing.
Trying to identify an
The avatar's not going to
avatar
work.
is not
Yeah.
going to work.
Yeah.
You have to have that. We talked about that with both of you last time you was here at the round table. We talked about that personal touch that Lincoln University does give the students. And it looks like they're going to try to have to develop a new
Yeah,
way of reaching.
Now, we are in kind of a unique situation at Lincoln. We have small class sizes anyway. So the vote of the social distancing and painting and drawing, the classes will be exactly the same. Nothing's going to change. The plenty, I can get 8 or 10 in a studio this size, no problem. So when you get to the humanities, as far as the gen ed classes, you get to the 30, seating and the social distance. That's when it becomes a little bit more. Okay, we got another rule to abide by here.
Yeah, one more point about the online learning. We should also admit that the nature of our students, the students that we take in, we take a variety of students. We know there are those who are struggling to stay in college. So a student who are struggling to be in college, asking them to be independent and trying to do their work, that's in itself a challenge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the ones who can will rise to the occasion. That's the one who I want running my business. I'll give you an example. I had a couple of students last semester when we flipped the switch to go virtual. I noticed that the avatar would come up, we got 15 or 20 of them on the screen, and they have to be able to hear the lecture. That means you have to mute them. This is one of those along the line things they don't tell you about. You have to mute them. Well, these students were unmuting me, but I hear them, next stop, 118th Street. They're on a bus.
Ah.
Well, this goes on next class period. I'm having to mute this student again because I'm hearing all the background noise from the bus. But when I didn't realize this, what I was doing was actually cutting them off from the classroom. Because what can you get on a bus? Why? See, McDonald's is closed. The libraries is closed. So what I came to realize was this students were literally getting on the bus at 1 o'clock, riding to the end of the line and back, and end the line and back for 2 hours.
For 2 hours.
Just to make sure they could get the lecture, because that was the only signal they could get. See, Paul Harvey said, now you know the rest of the story.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I had to learn to turn them down, because once I muted them, I cut them off of I cut them out of the lecture.
Well, let's
Isn't that
continue. Yes, that's another.
They don't tell you that in Zoom 101, but yeah, that's one of those little things you have to take.
Well, we're close to taking a break.
Okay.
I'll ask you both to stay with us. We'll be right back. When we come back, the professors continue the discussion on the challenges of teaching art online. And so stay with us. We'll find out what they're doing to really take care of this problem that exists now. There's more right here on Mid-Missouri Art News. Great.
Dave, it's your boss. Give me a shift this Saturday.
Dave, you promised you'd take me on a proper date. David, it's Mom. Dave, you owe me money.
Hey, Mr. Sims, I just want to remind you, you owe me 13. Mr. Sims, you can't keep on putting this off, man. I need that money.
Mamá, lo estuve pensando bien y no voy a ir a la universidad.
¿Pero qué dices, hijo? ¿Tienes que ir a la universidad?
Es que me ofrecieron un trabajo y yo ya quiero comprarme mis cosas. Mi teléfono, mi auto, mi...
Hijo, la universidad es mucho más importante que un auto nuevo.
No, mamá, no lo es.
¿Sí?
No.
Sí.
Mamá, no. Y además es mi decisión.
¿Tu decisión? Pues decide qué vas a estudiar, porque a la universidad vas a ir.
De tus palabras de hoy depende su mañana. El Hispanic Scholarship Fund tiene la información para que ayudes a tus hijos a ir a la universidad y tengan un mejor futuro.
Welcome back to JCTV Mid-Missouri Art News. I'm your host, Rick J., and we continue our discussion now on the topic of the challenges of instructing art classes online this year 2020. I'll turn now to Mr. Essex Garner to start off this second segment discussion. Essex?
It's a few unknowns. One thing I liked about being in the military, usually I knew what was going to happen when I got up and got everybody ready to go. We pray that, let me just put it bluntly, an inoculate happens between now and the end of the year, like MMR or malaria, polio. That would be the optimum scenario. Plan for the worst and hope for the best. We know that our class sizes are going to be smaller. The enrollment for this university is down. Like all universities, not indigenous to Lincoln University, all universities are having to rethink their strategies, recruitment. It's a domino effect. If the economy is affecting the parent, who's sending their children to you in the semesters? The parent. They have to have some type of belief that their child is going to be safe. My daughter is at Lincoln. I'm not going to turn her over unless I know that I feel that there are precautions being taken, distances in the classrooms, wearing masks. Simple. It will create a problem during the lecture, the mask. Take the mask off. As we were saying, do maybe a shield. I like to move around through the classroom. I can't stand being behind a lecture. Well, that practice is going to have to stop. Period. I would hope that Missouri doesn't become via New York, California, Florida, Texas. But the math says until then, probably, we know the train's coming.
Right. And what will you ask of your students in this scenario?
Well, nothing more than I'm asking myself.
You're asking the same thing.
The same thing.
yourself.
Be cognizant of your environment.
Protect yourself.
Protect yourself.
Yeah, protect
Wear protective wear when possible. It's not going to always time be applicable. If I'm sitting in front of the lectern, don't come up to the lectern to show me something. Okay, that was an F. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's the F to the little two. You flunked it. The testing, you're going to have hybrid testing. Some will be in classroom, some will be online. Some people are thinking in this digital world that the online tests are easier.
They're not.
No, they're not.
No.
No, and I mean this seriously. What I found out the hard way last semester, the difference in the average score was around 2% across the board, lower for those who were taking the test online, for those who were taking the traditional Carnegie, or however you want it, traditional method. So the online test, unless you're cheating, there's another ball, but there are set defaults against that as well. People are thinking, well, online is just going to be a whole lot easier, especially when I get ready to take tests. No, it's not. Not necessarily so. The tests are probably about the same.
Yeah, so like my colleague Essex is saying, as we prepare for the fall, our expectation is that we are going to have the students in class, which would be good for the art program. We don't want to do anything virtual. But we should also be prepared in the event that things get worse and we can't stay on campus, so we should be prepared on how we're going to do it. But before we talk about those preparations, I really want to emphasize that we have to change the culture. Like he said, he's going to adjust his teaching style. We have to change the culture. By we, I mean everybody.
Everyone.
Everybody. We have to realize that this is a collective responsibility. You take care of me, I take care of you. You know, it's collective. So the students have to understand. I mean, this is just got to be put into them that we have to take all precautions to keep safe. Otherwise, the option of going back online is not going to be, you know, I mean, it's not going to be the best option, especially for the art program. Now, while we're talking about the enrollment numbers, and like he said, in art we probably will have, you know, students and enough space to work. The problem is if the situation gets worse, the university doesn't. It's a blanket, you know, action. There's no saying that okay, this program can sustain being here, you know, or this other program can close. We all close. So we are hoping that in the fall, when students come back and everybody's back, we are going to take that responsibility of taking care of every person. We don't want.
If I may,
Yes.
hang on to your thought. The Lincoln University closed down for a number of weeks. Are in your meetings with staff, are they looking at this possibility again, or somewhat trying to keep it open?
You have to.
Yes.
It has to be part of it.
Because now we're talking about people going back to the classroom, elementary, junior high, high school, university, college, so the parents can go back to work.
Yeah. So as
the
far as
economy is now playing a part. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the plan, as far as we know, according to our president and the administration, is that we're coming back in the fall.
Okay.
We're going to take the in-person classes in the fall. But of course, they are observing the situation in Missouri, in Jefferson City, and seeing what's going to happen. But we are optimistic that we'll be back in the fall. Now, the issue with that is, like Essex and I have received calls from parents of students in our program. They were asking us how we're going to do it. We don't have the answers right now.
We don't
have the answers right now.
And how many weeks are we away from classes?
Is it
four?
4
or 5 weeks.
And
yeah.
so you're still
We
trying
don't
to
have answers. And then you can imagine we have these students who have signed up for classes, but they don't know, the parents, really the students may want to come back, but if the parents don't feel comfortable, they say, no, time to go back to school. So we are hoping that in the next 3 or 4 weeks, some magic is going to happen and everything will be fine and we'll be able to go back to, have the students come back to class. But it's going to be a challenge. And one thing that I'm really concerned about is we can talk about all these measures that we are going to take and what's expected, but what's the cost of doing all that? And if it comes to, because right now, the state, I think, the funding in higher education has been cut, somehow. And even though we have all these measures we want to take, are we going to afford it? That's another thing, you need to worry about. So we could start maybe the first day you have the sanitizer in there, but after 3 weeks, those things are not there, then kind of people start worrying and all that. We hope we don't get there. But we need to, go ahead.
At what point, I want to ask you both, do you, I know a lot of our heroes is being redefined now. I made the statement on Twitter that the new hero is being redefined. Our workers, the hospitals and what have you. Now you're coming into a classroom. You're going to put your own life in jeopardy, your families, the ones you associate with. So from your heart, how do you feel about that? Are you still, as before, Lincoln University has given so much, and now you're going a step farther beyond. How do you identify with that?
You're saying, do we have faith?
Well, not faith, but personally, how you look
I
at it.
kind of
Are you ready to?
Yeah, so I can give you my personal response to that.
Yes.
So personally, I feel that if we take the precautions that the CDC and all these health experts are telling us,
Yes.
personally, if I did that, I feel safe.
Okay.
So, like I was telling, before we started this interview, we talked about the plexiglass and all that.
Yes.
Those are things I feel comfortable. So if I have the plexiglass in front of me, and if I need to, put a mask on to feel safer, I think that's good enough. I think there might be a lot of politics on whether these things work or not, but personally, I believe they work. I put the mask, keep my distance, use the plexiglass, do everything, all the precautions that I need to take.
And Essex, quickly?
Same.
Same? All right. That's
Now, because I will actually be in the studio, the hugging days are over.
Right.
Yeah, those
The
are
high
all.
five days are over. Let's just call it what it is. You'll have to respect the person in front of you.
Correct.
We'll really have to learn to respect each other's
The
space.
distance, your space.
Yeah.
Are you
Whether-
sanitizing doorknobs, door handles? To what extent will you?
As needed.
Actually,
needed.
that's a good question. So there's some things that are pretty basic. They were saying like the classrooms, don't close the door. There's those small little things
I
you
see.
take. Don't close the door, just
Take
leave
it
it
through.
open. Yeah, leave it through. So I think we have to rethink of how we can make touchless things, in other words. So the space should be accessible without you having to touch anything.
Oh, okay.
I think that might help.
The parent will be wondering,
Yeah. And then the other thing is once you get into that room, like Essex said, just make sure you respect everybody's
This
space.
is your space till
Yep.
the end of the semester, period.
Yep.
Great.
Period. This is your computer to the end of the semester,
And then
period.
if we can have, like we said, if we can have the sanitize and all that's available, I don't know, if we can have all that available, I think we should be fine.
You will be thinking this completely through, I can see. Now, we're running short on time, so I want to make sure that we have time for any further discussion or comments that you want to bring up that we haven't covered. Are there any major things now in the last few minutes here that you'd like to address?
Okay, let me say about the whole situation, the way it is. Our art program, we had 3 professors.
Now we have 2.
Now we have 2. So our colleague, Jim Crow, is not here because of all partly because of
Economics. The
yeah.
budget at the Lincoln University.
Yeah. But I wouldn't want to end this session without thanking him really for the great work he did. He's a wonderful man, a great mentor. You know, I mean, I loved working with him. Let me put it that in short.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
He knows his stuff. How about that?
Yep.
Right. And I had looked forward to him being on the panel to hear his viewpoints, you know, also.
And originally, I wasn't avoiding you getting back about this one because we were all three going to be here, but that's one of the reasons I didn't get back to you.
Because you did not know.
We didn't know with this, the way things are, how it was going to turn out, you know.
Okay, well, then let's go ahead and your last comment, a closing comment, please, Mr. Essex.
This too shall pass. I can admit this now. When I was in the Army, I had a karate instructor. I used to think he's just like hitting on me. I mean, he'd just catch me sleeping, boom. But he would always say, this too shall pass. And the people who ride it through will become stronger. We will become better. We're already becoming better teachers. Going to become better students, going to become better people as a whole, because now we are as interested in our brother as we were supposed to be as far as abiding by the human laws of man. Isn't that funny that it took this to make us become interested in our brother's keeper, as they say?
Yep.
I am very interested in what my brother is doing over here now, because now it's like the guys in Afghanistan would tell you, this is what it feels like in a war zone.
Exactly. And if he's not supporting you,
you know they're out there.
And, yes, right.
I know. I need to know that the guy on my right, the girl on my left has got my back. Right. And I need to be my brother's keeper. This is forcing us.
Right.
To become better stewards of humanity.
Exactly, I agree 100%. And any closing?
Okay, so there's something I want to say real quick here. The art program we are in the process of working towards accreditation to the National Association of Schools of Art and Design.
Oh.
I'm writing a report on that. And as he said, we'll get over it, because
this too shall pass.
Yeah, we'll get through it. So once we are through, then we'll proceed with that. So we are hoping that once our art program is accredited, it will be a tool for recruitment. We'll get more students, and we'll improve our program.
And I do have a message from the music department they really are looking forward to becoming re-accredited, getting the program back for music, because this is what happens if you things start to just go south. You know, after a while you lose. And you look, there's no professor over here. Used to be one, he's not there now. Exactly. Used to be a program over here. So Dr. Sanders, Alfonso, David has been doing more of the writing, but we had a lot of areas to address as far as our upcoming accreditation. So if I haven't said it, David, thank you for your work on that. I know that it pains me to do that, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Because I believe Dr. Sanders right now is a social distance, but I'm telling you, this too shall pass. This place has been here for 152 years.
And let me thank Dr. Sanders.
Dr. Sanders.
Our
been on the program.
Yes, he has given us a lot of encouragement.
Oh, that's great.
A lot of encouragement. He sponsored a trip to the NASA conference. Yes, last year. And I really want to thank him for that. And we're very happy, and we are hopeful that our program is going to go to the highest,
Well, I wish you...
And alumni, if you got some extra money, send it. We need the money now for sure.
Yes.
Well, seriously.
I thank you seriously for your time here today and presenting these challenges of the future.
Yeah, so thank you for having us. Thank you
very much.
Oh, and also remember to make sure your video's not on when you're in the house by yourself. You think people are doing stuff in the background. Your students are hearing all that stuff on Zoom.
Oh, I see. Make sure that
Yeah, you
when
turn the
you're
video
on-
off when it's supposed to be off.
Exactly.
People aren't using the bathroom in the background.
That's a good point.
No, that's been happening a lot.
You have no clue what's going on back there with those noises, huh? Well, thanks again. And I want to take time to thank you viewers for watching Mid-Missouri Art News worldwide. It's great that we're reaching out to all the different countries, naturally United States and locally here in Mid-Missouri. So I'm Rick J saying thanks to you folks. And I have to say thanks naturally to our staff here at JCTV, which continues on, fortunately, and our producer, Gloria Enlow, crew, Art Gerhard, and as the students come back this fall, I'll be thanking them and looking forward to their assistance to make the programs available to you viewers. So I'm Rick J saying keep it tuned to JCTV Access, and don't forget YouTube. I'll see you next time. Thank you for being with us.